Good morning. Welcome to Dispatch Radio. This is Brandon Jones, and we're sponsored by the globaldispatch.com, catching you up on all the news, whether it be politics, religion, hometown news, crime, weird news, pop culture. We have it all. So today we have another action-packed show for you. We have Bruce Carroll. He is the head behind a new movement to vote out Senator Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. We will have him on. At the bottom of the hour, we will have Vincent Racaniello back with us. He is the professor of microbiology and immunology at Columbia University. He'll be discussing bird flu. Is that
some controversial bird flu studies they want to do.
Right. And then, of course, we'll have Mike Smith from Media Mike's back with us. He'll be talking movies and that kind of thing. But with me, as always, the head and shoulders of the globaldispatch.com, Robert Harriman. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Brandon. You pretty sick of the rain now?
I am washed out. I have mushrooms everywhere. My backyard is like a jungle. The humidity level at my house is about 200%, and I'm ready to start filming movies and charging people for set visits. So we do have a special guest with us this morning. The first part of our show, we have Adrian Wyllie in studio with us. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Doing well. How about y'all?
Oh, we're so
Great.
Blessed. Adrian has had some amazing news this week we want to get to. We did send out some emails and phone calls to Rick Scott and Charlie Crist, who are also running for Florida governor. We did have a new poll this week, so we were trying to seek some quotes in response to the polls, which showed that Charlie Crist is ahead of Rick Scott in this poll, 41-29. But the real news was out of nowhere, especially to the talking heads and the local news affiliates, is Libertarian candidate Adrian Wyllie, who surged to 8.7%. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
We wanted to have you on, and we wanted to kind of try to get to the crux of why you think there's been a spike in that, why you're seeing the support that you're seeing, and what are you hearing out there when you're on the campaign trail?
Well, I think the reason that we're showing well in the polls this early on, and when I say well, 9% for us at this point is I think, a good accomplishment. It shows that our campaign, which is a grassroots campaign, it's not bought and paid for like by the special interests and the big corporate donors like my competitors' campaigns are. It's a true grassroots campaign, and it's showing that we're effective in getting the message out there. And I think that that number is just going to continue to grow as we keep doing what we're doing. But it's two things, I think. I think we're also seeing a shift towards libertarian philosophies. So I think just the fact of having that third option on there, having that libertarian option on there, is something that the people are ready for, and they're excited to see that, hey, it's not just a red team, blue team game anymore. I have a real choice for economic freedom and individual liberty.
Now, the poll really... It went over some cursory statistics and that kind of thing, but one of the things I wanted to get to was there was some good news for Florida. We had some good budgetary things. They did pat themselves on the back for cutting some deficit issues here in Florida and that kind of thing. Where do you still see that we're falling short on that? Where does the Wyllie governor want to take Florida economically? How can we still improve things?
Well, one of the things that it's amazing how when you really drill into the budget and when you really look at what's going on in Tallahassee, what we do, if you ask most people on the street, they say, well, we've been cutting the budget. That Rick Scott's been cutting the budget. I read that he cut $385 million out of the budget. What they don't know is that was out of a proposed $4.5 billion increase. Under Rick Scott, the budget has increased by $8 billion. So it's amazing how this news gets out, and they only tell a very small sliver of the story. But the real story is our budget is bigger than Russia's defense budget.
So it's very similar to what we say here a lot about the federal spending. So we'll say the cut is nothing more than the cut in the increase.
It's a decrease in the increase. That's
not
exactly
a cut
right.
to where we are today. So,
and
for instance,
that's the new language in politics.
In politics, right. So what do we need to do to, let's say, how much should we trim the budget by, in your opinion? And how would you make some of your immediate, let's say the first 12 months, we need to do this, and this is some of the things that I'm going to move forward that we should do.
Well, I actually have a comprehensive economic policy. We've reviewed the budget, and let me tell you, folks, reviewing the budget, going through the budget line item by line item is a monumental task, but we're working on it. On a cursory review, I believe we can cut 30% out of the budget without affecting any critical government service. That is just the right off the bat waste, inefficiency, and idiocy in the budget. But in order to get Florida back on economic track and to restore that prosperity, we've got to do some pretty serious things. And I think one of the most interesting parts of my proposal is the Florida Intrastate Commerce Act, which I will propose. And that would say that anything that is manufactured, grown, developed, produced in the state of Florida, and sold in the state of Florida is immune from any federal regulation, any federal oversight whatsoever. And in going around the state and talking to people, talking to small, medium size business owners, they're telling me that the reason that they're not hiring, the reason that they're not expanding, the reason that they're not contributing more to Florida's economic engine are those taxes, are those regulations, are the uncertainty of what's coming down from the state and federal government. So if we give them some certainty, cut those regulations, cut those taxes, we'll see an economic boon in Florida.
Now, we know that the PR in that's not going to go well because, you have, sadly, a large population that is looking forward to some of the government benefits. So,
Sure.
For instance, when we say those things and that's presented, Obamacare comes to mind, Medicaid comes to mind, those kinds of things. So how do you reassure those folks of readjusting economics so that it's not devastating to their lives? Because that's what they're being spun and what they're being told anytime they pay
sure.
attention to the media. So how do you break through that barrier?
Excuse me. Well, I think it's important for everyone to understand a little hard reality that we are on a path with our entitlement programs, and we've seen it most recently in Detroit. They've been bankrupted by their pension system, effectively. We are on a path to bankrupting all forms of government unless we get entitlements under control. So what we need to do is a planned phase out of a lot of these things. And folks, especially older folks, will remember a time, and let's take Obamacare, for example. Everybody is looking to Obamacare as a solution to a problem. But really, that problem was initially caused by government. Prior to Johnson's Great Society in 1965, we had no government involvement in health care, and nobody was losing their homes over, an illness, an injury, things like that. People could afford the best quality care in the world. And for those who were truly indigent and could not pay, we had private charity, we had mercy hospitals, we had church hospitals. Those cared for anyone regardless of ability to pay. That's what I think we need to get back to. It was government's involvement that started the decline in our healthcare system and got us to the point we are today. We have to reverse that trend and go back to free market in healthcare and also relying on private charities and the churches for that safety net. When we rely on government for that safety net, we end up bankrupt.
How does the Crist and the Scott supporters differ from the kind of questions that they challenge you? Where are their priorities? Like, it would surprise us, for instance, to say, this is the number one issue here, this is the number one issue there.
Well, it's funny because that is changing. And what I see is from the Republicans that I'm drawing support from and the Democrats that I'm drawing support from, their issues are basically the same. They acknowledge the same problems. They acknowledge we have problems with our economy. We don't have jobs right now. We need a way to grow jobs. And they do realize that the Republicans and Democrats have not solved the problem. One of the other things that has affected people across all sides of the political spectrum is the growing police state. The fact that we have the NSA monitoring our phone calls, reading our emails, the fact that our police are being militarized, the fact that we have drones flying over our head. Those are the kind of things that people, just all people, regardless of your political background, are upset about. And they see the Republicans and Democrats actually causing these problems, and only libertarians are the ones standing up and saying, no, this is unconstitutional. We have to stop this. We have to reverse this trend. So I think that's the reason that specifically my campaign and libertarians in general are drawing support from both of the parties.
Right. And just for folks, the stats here, according to this poll, 6.9% describe themselves as Democrat, 9.4% Republican, 11.1% Independent. So it is totally across the board, is every faction. So if you hear anything otherwise, they're only drawing from one side or the other. Voting for Wyllie will only mean Christ wins, or voting for Wyllie will only mean Scott wins. That's not true. That's just a silly argument. So with that, let me give you an opportunity to talk about the website, the campaign information. How do people find out more, make contributions, get an appearance, those kinds of things?
Absolutely. Well, the best thing to do is go to Wyllie, and that's WYLLIE for governor.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. We're on all the social media. But I encourage everyone to donate to the campaign. This is a grassroots campaign, but we still need money. We've got a campaign goal of $2 million compared to Scott and Chris, who are going to spend $100 million, no doubt. And volunteer for the campaign. That's probably the most important thing you can do, because in order to win this, we've calculated, we're going to need 6,000 volunteers statewide, 6,000 active volunteers. At this point, we have about 600 volunteers, and that number is growing every day. But get involved with the campaign, be a part of the team, and let's get government out of your wallet, out of your bedroom, and out of your business.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us in studio. It's been an exciting time. It's great to see you again.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
Thanks, Adrian.
I tell you, the election's going to heat up, and it's very interesting to see such a difference in the political landscape so early. And that was kind of the one reasons why it becomes such a big news story for us, and why we want to bring you in right away, because you need to know, folks, that you're not alone with how you feel, and there is going to be more than the GOP and the DNC as an option. And you need to demand change, even if that means we don't win this election, so you people can be counted and say, listen, we got this many people that are standing up to say, I want change. So, Bob, anything else you want to squeeze in before we go to break?
Yeah, if we got a second, Adrian, on a more of a political theme, your 9% poll numbers. I don't know what the Florida regulations are or stipulations, but concerning the debates, when that time comes,
right?
How does that affect you?
Depending on the news media outlet that holds the debate, they each have the ability to make the determination what construes a viable candidate. Historically, they generally say that is showing between 10 and 15% in a scientific poll, plus or minus the margin of error. Sure. So in this past poll, where I was at 8.7 plus or minus 1.8, we've already hit one of the benchmarks for being included in the debates. And I think by the time the debates come around, there's going to be 3 podiums on that stage, and I'm going to be up there.
Fantastic.
Very exciting time. All right, folks, we're going to take a very quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to have Bruce Carroll on with us, and we're going to talk about Lindsey Graham.
Brandon from Dispatch Radio, and I want to tell you about my friends over at Stout Auto. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't stand car repair shops. I hate hearing about all the things that are wrong with my car. Even if they're true, I just want my oil changed. Now, the only thing worse than car repair is having to take it back again when it breaks down for what I just had done the first time. Now, recently, I had some work done on my mother-in-law's car. Spent a pretty penny, only to have the same thing start all over again. Now, this person may have meant well, and I don't really have any ill will, but I learned a valuable lesson, that I can trust Jody and his team over at Stout Auto. Not only did they fix everything, explain what else needed to be done, they did it in a professional manner with estimates that I could understand, and I left feeling that my daughter, if she took her car in there for an oil change, wouldn't come home with a $600 bill. One trip, one good repair, I didn't have to go back. Now, they've been in business in Clearwater for over 4 years. 18300 US 19 North. It's in Clearwater at 727-216-6622. Now they have a new location that's off Belcher at 1801 Belcher Road, just 1 block north of Ulmerton. Give them a call. That's 727-400-6955. 2 locations, going to do you right, get you in and out. Tell them the Global Dispatch sent you.